Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about Donald Trump's lawyer's early TV performance that's being widely panned and justifiably. Okay, Trump actually has a couple decent lawyers who are now installed and from the looks of things are going to be heading things up at trial. The U.S. does as well, by the way, and those four folks were all present in the courtroom. John Lauro is the head guy for Trump, Thomas Wyndham for the DOJ, and there are second ones as well. And they stand in, the Trump guys stand in contrast to what, of all people, Vice President Mike Pence flamboyantly and uncharacteristically, but accurately called Trump's gaggle of crackpot lawyers in his statements in the last day or two. But Lauro, what I wanted to talk about today was his being out there and trying to project and lay the groundwork for this First Amendment defense, which is, basically there are different ways of stating it, free speech, but the broader point he's trying to make is this is just, Trump acting within the constitutional system, maybe a little aggressively, but that's what you do. Separation of powers. He's being president, etc. And Lauro goes on TV and talks about about the Pence episode, and they reference in particular a dialogue that's in the indictment. Actually, worth looking at if you get a second. It's everybody ought to download the indictment at this point. Just have it around for references. It's gonna come in handy for the next many months. But we're on page 34, and there is this discussion in which they're going back and forth of different ways to try to delay January 6th. And there's one that Eastman is trying to press, and he's asked whether it kind of holds water. And he makes it clear maybe not. But then Trump said, that's all right. I like Plan D better anyway. Plan D. That's the choice to just basically get Pence to throw up his hands, say there's confusion and multiple slates, and just send it back to the states. So that's not even. That's to create, as Pence himself said in his gaggle crackpot lawyers discussion, that it would have engendered total chaos, right? All of a sudden things are back in the legislature. Anyway, John Lauro, very fine reputation. I know people who practiced against him say he's sharp, but here's what he said. He's on Fox News talking to Laura Ingraham. And he'd voiced his support for Mike Pence to refuse to certify the Electoral College votes on January 6th. And that's when we're talking about how do you do it? And the back and forth with Eastman has to do with a lesser included option. And what he says is, let's go with option D. Let's just halt. Let's just pause the voting and allow the state legislatures to take one last look. Oh, I'm sorry. I am importantly reading Lauro's characterization of Trump's words on Fox yesterday. So let me start again. It's important. What Trump said is, let's go with option D. And that is indeed what he said. I like option D better. But now going forward, here's how his lawyer is characterizing it on national TV. He's saying, let's go with option D. Let's just halt. Let's just pause the voting and allow the state legislatures to take one last look and make a determination as to whether or not the elections were handled fairly. That's constitutional law. That's not an issue of criminal activity. That is an asinine statement, and he's getting, completely lambasted for it. So here's what Lauro is saying. The actual indictment charges under 1512 C2, if you want to look it up, a conspiracy to try to impair or impede the January 6th certification. Indeed, it actually charges also a substantive count of doing that. And how did he do it? With the whole bedlam with Pence that, paused things for, 90 minutes? Here you have Lauro saying he just wanted to, pause for 10 days. Well, that's you can call it that if you like, but it's completely evident. What that means is a more serious transgression than he's even charged with. And that is to surely, under the terms of the statute, the Electoral Act says January 6th, here's what we're doing. There's an official proceeding. Nobody doubts that. And so the question is he trying to impair or impede the proceeding? So he's saying, let's just take a little pause. Well, one person's little pause, John Lauro's, is quite evidently not just another person's, the world, the United States violation of 1512, because he's trying to impair or impede. Put another way, at this point, January 6th, the time would have long since passed for a little pause and just taking another look. And if you're trying to do that, you are agreeing to do something unlawful. Therefore, you're engaging in a conspiracy to violate 1512. Therefore, you are guilty as charged. And therefore, John Lauro is saying on national TV, Fox, that basically his client did it, or at least one of the charges. So, I mean, I shouldn't joke. This was going to happen to me the whole time because there's a combination of things going on. Unbelievably grave charges, the most serious in the country's history, combined with really asinine and ridiculous arguments by the Trump team that if I'm not careful, I might dismiss laughingly, but the whole proceedings are serious. And as I say, the current guys who are now in place, Todd Blanche and John Lauro, they're pretty good. We ought to actually see decent lawyering now, as opposed to the gaggle crackpot lawyers, one of whom, by the way, was also on display yesterday outside the courtroom, Aline Haba, making similarly, really half-baked comments. But here, Lauro is offering up to the nation, plan D, let's just pause, which is the same as admitting essentially to the crime as charged. And he's getting slapped around for it. Maybe he will by Trump himself. We'll see. He's got a tough client and a tough job because he's also trying to try it in the court of public opinion, which is really Trump's only defense. All he can hope to do is win the election and make it go away, make the prosecution go away, because he cannot win the prosecution because the evidence is just too strong against him. So anyway, that's the early out of the box stumble, I would say. I concur with the majority view here by John Lauro, essentially saying that Trump is charged with trying to do this unlawful thing and with doing it. And, he just wanted to pause is another way of saying, okay, so he did it. All right, so we'll see what ensues now. Very important date coming up, August 28th, and the schedule will be set. We'll know a lot more about the all-important question of how fast this trial will proceed, as well as the different defenses. You could think of Lauro's misstep as sort of, airing a trial balloon and having it quickly shot down. But the truth is he doesn't have many balloons in the shed there. And I think Trump's defenses are threadbare at best. Okay, talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.